G'day there guys, it's your boy I Read Reddit, back at it again with some more Entitled Parent stories. Sit back, relax, throw a shrimp on that Barbie, and tell me how much you like this one in the comments. Haha, just kidding, let's get to it. Okay, so our first story is posted by user Humanoidfreak, titled 10 coupons that are 2 for 1 means free, god dang it! So this was back around, let's say 5 years ago. I was working with the entryway to this theme park in my city. I don't know if it's just in Canada where you have to pay to get into a theme park, but that's what we do here. Then, when you're inside, you pay for whatever rides, games, or food you want. So in my booth, we have 4 people, plus the supervisor behind us in case crap goes down. So here are the players. Me, co-worker, supervisor, kid 1, and Karen. So, along comes these kids who give me 10 coupons that are 2 for 1. They're all excited. So I'm doing the computer stuff and putting the coupons in the right section. So the computer spits out the final total, which is around $200 I believe. Kid 1 goes, huh? $200 please. Why? That is the total I came out with. But it's 2 for 1. Yes, and the total is 200. No, it's 2 for 1. Yes, but the total comes out to this amount. No, that isn't right. Yes it is. How will you be paying, cash or credit? The kid yells over at his mum and shouts the final price. Like a goddamn rhino, Karen comes stomping on over. How dare you charge us $200, you goddamn thief? It's free! No, the total comes to 200. The computer computed. I will not give you 200. We are getting in for free. Give us our tickets now. Sorry miss, but the 2 for 1s came to that price. Don't you know math? 2 for 1 means free. Free, god dang it! She starts shrieking at this point. My supervisor is coming over to save me, but I tell her not to. I've got this. Frankly, I was having too much fun with Karen. Listen here, idiot. No wonder you work this crappy job. You can't do math. It's free, and that is final. I say to her, miss, 2 for 1 is what it implies. You pay for 1, you get 1 free. Not all of it is free, and you have 10 kids, so it is that amount. Karen sees the supervisor behind me and goes, you there! Fire this jerk! He's trying to con the customer! At the theme park? You know where you are, right? Karen is flastered. Flabbergasted, I'm guessing. Karen goes, god dang it! I'm getting in for free with or without the tickets. She grabs the kids and goes to the second entryway where there are a ton of door people and real cops because the drunks come out during this time. 10 seconds later, she comes back to the booth since they denied her entry because she had no ticket. She goes to the next person next to me and gives them the coupons. Now, my co-worker is physically challenged. She's in a wheelchair. Karen sees this and is livid. Great, now I get the dang invalid. Supervisor says to her, get the fudge out of my line. You do not call my co-worker that name. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Co-worker says, apology not accepted. So the supervisor then says, please leave before we call the cops. And then Karen storms off.
Spongeboy me bub, did someone say free?
Our next post is by user SquishyLover21, titled, you evil Russians are trying to poison me and my baby. Okay, so me and my girlfriend were talking about allergies the other day. I mentioned how I can't eat bananas and reminded me of this story. I'm not allergic or anything, I just can't keep them down, and it's an experience I'd rather not put myself through deliberately. So a couple of years ago, a mum and her daughter moved in a few doors down from the street from my grandparents. My grandma decided we should make banana bread together and send some as a welcome gift to the new neighbors, because that's just what you do. I love baking with my grandma, and even though I couldn't eat the banana bread, it smelled absolutely amazing. I offered to quickly drop it off while my grandma made herself a cup of tea and sat down for a rest. The woman who opened the door looked completely average and seemed actually quite nice as she took the bread excitedly and invited me in, practically cooing over the fact that it was homemade and inviting me inside. I was anxious to get back because strangers' houses and all that, you know, stranger danger. But she seemed nice enough and I didn't want to be rude. She offered me a slice and I politely declined, but she insisted a little less nicely, so I just said something along the lines of, "Oh, sorry, thanks, but I can't eat that." The woman looked visibly confused, and then suddenly jumped away from the cake she was cutting, as if it was radioactive or something. She then started screaming about how "you evil Russians are trying to poison me and my baby!" Apparently, she'd met my grandfather. He's Ukrainian and has a pretty thick accent. I decided to get out of there before the situation could escalate further, so no assault or dramatic ending. Though I did get some of the cake thrown at me, which I dodged before running out of there, pursued by threats of calling the police. I don't know if she actually called the police, but I don't think they would have taken her seriously, even if she did. Okay buddy, squishy lover... No, you don't run out of the house in this situation. You explain it, and if she's crazy, then you do something about it. You don't just... Oh no, you're just making yourself look bad here. Dude! Whatever, next story, I don't care. Our next story is posted by user CinnamonEevee, titled, "Don't be rude to the McDonald's cashier if you didn't get the Pokemon Happy Meal toy that you want, because he controls what goes into the box." Posted from Petty Revenge. So, I like Pokemon. I also like McDonald's. So when McDonald's tried to release some legendary Pokemon Happy Meal toys, I was ecstatic. They offered 2 different Pokemon every week. So every Saturday, for about a month, I would walk down to my local McDonald's and buy whatever Pokemon figure they had that week. I ended up with Latias, Latios, Groudon, Kyogre, Dialga, and Palkia by the end of the month. That's how I say them, fight me. Funny thing is, I only originally intended to buy Latias and Palkia because they were my favorite of the selection. I got Latias on day 1, but I spent 3 weeks trying to get a Palkia. I bought the rest of the figures each week as to not waste a trip. And the employee started to recognize me. This is important. The next week is when my story happens. I walk into McDonald's and get into the queue. Ahead of me, a woman, let's call her Karen. Oh wait, actually no, let's not call her Karen. Pokemon has a character called Karen, and she's actually really sweet and inspirational. Let's call her Debbie. Debbie is in a screaming fit at the poor cashier as she's waving an unopened Dialga figure in his face. Apparently, this Dialga is from a previous Happy Meal and she was trying to get it replaced, which is why she had it before she made her order. "What do you mean you don't have any other Pokemons?" The plural of Pokemon is Pokemon, lady. Get with the times. "We only have 2 this week. That one and the blue and white dragon." Latios, I'm assuming. "I don't want this invalid horse or a dragon. Get me a pink one." "We don't have the..." "Yes you do, I saw a pink one on the TV. You should have it. I want to see a manager." The employee firmly says to her, "Look ma'am, the manager would say the same thing that I've said. We only have 2 figures this week. The pink one that you're talking about is not here because we haven't ordered it in yet. If you want any of the other figures left over from last week, then..." "I don't care. Go look for one." The employee sighs and starts digging around the basket. His eyes go wide for a moment as he pulls out a Palkia figure, looking as though he didn't expect it to be in the basket. Then he notices me behind Debbie, and his face turns into a uh-oh face. Debbie notices that he found a Palkia figure. "There, that wasn't so hard, was it?" He sighs and puts it into a Happy Meal box that Debbie ordered. Debbie smiles smugly and goes to sit down at her table. Instead of grabbing the box and returning to her seat, she expects it to be delivered to her. Typical. The employee goes to take my order. "I'm sorry ma'am, but that was the only Palkia we have. We actually haven't ordered any more yet. So that one must have fallen in by mistake during delivery." That's fine man, I'll just come in next week." The employee suddenly smiles as though he's thought of something. "So, do you want a chicken nugget Happy Meal?" The employee grabs Debbie's Happy Meal box from the counter and hands it to me. Whoa there buddy, what are you doing?" "I'll just say that you ordered the same thing and that I gave you the wrong box by mistake." So I ended up taking my Happy Meal box home and the Palkia figure inside. Edit. Everyone here is rightfully worried about what happened to the employee. So I went back to the McDonald's today to find out the aftermath. This is all I remember from a few hours ago when he told me, so the dialogue isn't 100% accurate. Apparently, the employee saw that Debbie had a young kid with her, So we fished out a Latias, the most girly and cute Pokemon, from the toy basket and put that in the box instead. After he delivered the box, Debbie immediately snatched the toy out of the box and was about to let loose a screaming session when she saw it wasn't Palkia. Debbie's kid saw the Latias and opened it immediately and looked really happy with it. It's so cute! What the frick? This isn't the pink one! I'm sorry ma'am, but someone else ordered the same meal as you and I gave them your box by accident. I tried to find another pink one and that's the closest I could get. Debbie looked like she wanted to huff again, but her kid was happy with the Latias anyway, so Debbie couldn't say anything since she technically got the Pokemon that her daughter wanted. Good on her. Our next two stories are posted by user GunnarLP, titled, Entitled Mom Tries to Fire the Manager by Saying She Knows the Manager. TLDR? Okay, I'm not going to say that. So, a little backstory about the restaurant in Munich, Germany. It was a great restaurant and my grandfather used to be the manager until he retired. He tends to get a lot of nice people and he barely gets annoying or entitled people. He left a long while ago and no longer works in the restaurant. I was working there as a waiter and would do the usual waiter stuff. I was around 24 when I was helping the restaurant and then she comes. Everyone looks her way and starts whispering about the legend of Karen. Except they didn't. She just walked and nobody batted an eye. Karen, with her two bratty kids that looked like they could be from a Dr. Seuss book, took a seat. They seemed nice. She placed her order and the kids asked for some soda and the parents had some beer. Nothing out of the ordinary, until I gave some other kids some beer too. What? They were over 16 and she immediately called me over. Excuse me? Did you just give those kids some drinks over there? Well, yes, they are old enough to drink. They clearly look like they're 16 years old. Well, yeah, that's the drinking age, mate. No. You invalids, it's 21. What do you mean? The drinking age is 21, you dumbos. The law says that you can have alcohol at 16 here. Since when? Since it was written. It kept going back and forth until my grandfather came over. And he says, "Excuse me, is there a problem?" This a-hole is being rude to my family. They won't let my kids drink like them. And gestures to the other table. Ma'am, they are clearly in the drinking age. I know your manager. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm gonna call her right now. She then calls someone and pretends to talk to the manager. She closes it and faces my grandfather. I just talked to him. You're fired. I can rehire you if you give us our meal for free. My grandfather chuckles, and so do I. Do you think that losing your job is so funny? Ha 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 ha, I am the manager. We both start laughing hysterically as she gets all white and doesn't say anything. We tell her to go back to her meal and she ends up paying for the entire meal. She left a bad review, but that was about it. And our last story, posted by GunnarLP, is titled, Entitled Mother Makes Fun of World War II and Tries to Kick Out of a Veteran Memorial Festival, whatever that means. Before we start, I will say he was a German veteran of World War II. He was my grandfather, but he in no way was a Nazi sympathizer. He was in the military before Hitler was in power and had no choice but to fight in the war. So the story. When this happened, I was really young, like 6 years old, so it's mostly from my mum and dad. So, it's basically like any other cast, so the real character I need to explain is Jürgen and grandfather and Polizei. So we went to this festival in Germany for all the vets that served in the country. All the vets had a little reserved place for them and their family, so they could go while we all stayed in the field. It was going to be a nice play that was being played by some theatre kids like 18 to 21 years old. So since my grandfather was a World War II vet, he got a seat right up the front. We had a number that matched a table. We were number 13. So we went to that table, but when we got there were already people there. It was a mother and her 2 kids. This is how it transpired. Excuse me, can you move? Our table's here. The Karen looked at us like we're breaking into their house and stealing everything. Oh, what do you mean? We were here first! I know, but my dad here, gestures towards the grandfather, is a World War II vet, and they gave him the "So he's a Nazi?" That really hit hard for my family, as it is like the worst thing you could say to my grandfather, as he already feels like crap for being in the war. "I'm not giving my seat for some Nazi! Leave!" My mom was being super ticked off at this point. She started going off in this beehole, while my grandfather and dad tried to calm her down, while she was cussing and screaming at this lady. This called attention to my dad's friend Jurgen, who set up the whole thing.
Hey, can you please quiet down, so
These people are trying to take our spot, even though it's ours.
Ma'am, the seats are reserved for World War II veterans.
So you're saying that since he's a Nazi, he gets the best spot? Apparently nothing's changed from this country, you racist S-holes. I'm not moving for some Nazi piece of crap. Everyone around us finally looked at her, and by now someone's called the police, and they came to see what was wrong. And they say, "What seems to be the problem here, ma'am?" "These S-holes are assaulting me."
"Is this true?"
asking the tables around them. They all said no, and arrested the mother for disrupting the peace. As they were taking her away, she kept on saying vulgar stuff to my grandfather and my family. They asked if she wanted to press charges, but my grandfather said no. He was the kind of person that forgave everyone. We later find out that she was American and half of her family was visiting a relative that moved from here. I know that Americans aren't all like that, but I'm just sorry for her kids. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I kind of feel really bad for that grandpa, and I'm sorry that people are like that, but I understand not all Americans are like that. Tell me what you think about it in the comments, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Anyway, see you in the next episode. Have a good one.